Okay, this is the beginning of our electricity unit. You should have this packet that looks like this linked to the calendar. You need to make a copy of it, and as I'm going through the different activities, the lab parts, you are to fill in these gray boxes. You should be able to type into them when you make your copy. So just want to kind of go over some of the pieces of equipment that we're going to be using. I wish that you could be setting these up because I think this is really applicable to help you understand electricity. So one piece that we're going to use is called the battery holder. It looks like this. Another piece of equipment, we're going to use D batteries, look like this. Okay, on a D battery there's a positive terminal, which is the knob part, and then the flat end is the negative terminal, and it is marked here on the batteries. There's a positive sign and a negative sign. Whenever you put these in here, the flat end always gets compressed next to the spring so it has good contact, and then the knob at the top gets attached to this piece of wire that's looped around into a spring into the next compartment. So it always goes like this. And then when you put in the next battery has to be put in the opposite arrangement. So you have to have the negative terminal here and then the positive terminal here and so on. So this would be the negative terminal, positive terminal. Also, on these battery packs, they mark them with a red dot on this end, and then this that has a piece of metal coming out, this is the blue dot end. Okay, so we'll make a connection here, and then to make a connection here, we can clip onto the wire, or else we can touch on into that opening there. Okay, so that just explains that. We will use a compass a little bit later on. We're also going to have our bulbs set up in these sockets. They look like this. So here's what the socket looks like. It has two clips on it, a clip here and a clip here, and then it's got a plate right here that holds the bulb, and the bulb gets screwed into that plate. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now, the first activity, starting with number 1, they ask you to first, they tell you to set this up. It's my directions. We're going to just go through this activity. We are going to set this up so when this is all connected, it looks like this. They give you a diagram showing it connected. You can see my light bulbs are lighting. Now they're asking me to break the loop by disconnecting the wire at one end of the battery. I'm going to choose this end right here, and you are supposed to notice what happens to the bulbs. And then I'm going to reconnect, disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect. Okay? Answer those questions as you see what's actually happening. Number 2, they want me to connect the battery, which it is, and then disconnect that somewhere else in the loop. I'm going to choose to disconnect right here. So if I disconnect this spot, there's my disconnect. Then if I reconnect, there we go. If I disconnect and reconnect. And I can choose another spot. If I did this one, disconnect, and then reconnect. You should notice how the bulbs are acting. Okay. Now, so you should answer questions 1 and 2. My next one, on number 3, it says, unhook any wire and then bring it as close as I can to where it should be connected. I'm going to unhook this wire right here next to the light bulb. I'm going to bring my camera in here so we can look at it closely. Now these cameras aren't the best at zooming in, but I think you should be able to see this. And they asked me to bring this so you can see the metal piece coming out as close as I possibly can. And while we're looking at this, I also want to see if we can look at the bulbs. So I'm going to move this way, and I'm going to bring this as close as possible, and we can see what's happening. So right here I am. I'm getting very close. I don't see anything happening to the bulb. I'm touching it. I'm going to move just a little way away, a little bit away. I'm not touching it. Once I touch it, and once I go just a hair away from that piece of metal, it goes out. Once I touch it, okay, so that was looking at if there's a gap in the wiring. Is it going to function? So this takes care of activity 1.3.